let's get on to the very first debate of this show. And so your topic is going to be seasonal holidays. Do we need to have more of them, or do we need to have less of them? Think about your answer, what side you want to take, and with that, somebody call a coin flip.
I'll do heads.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
And it is heads. Earthly, first or second?
I'll go second.
All right. Earthly electing to go second. Now, because I am the most well-produced streamer on Twitch, I do not have a way to put the timer in the Zoom call. You will have to look at the stream to see what your timer is on. It'll just be right above your guys' heads, though, so it shouldn't be, you'll be able to see pretty easily. Again, 1 minute 30 per debating period, back and forth twice before a 1 minute back and forth between you two. So with that, Germanic Ogre, 1 minute 30 on the clock. Your time begins now.
All right. So as far as seasonal holidays go, I think, in my opinion, we need less of them, mainly because seasonal holidays are built around normally pagan structures, which are like Christmas, Easter, things like that. So most of the traditional holidays are rooted in religion. I think as we grow as a society and as we change as people, that getting away from that mindset and having holidays that are actually of like valid merit and have more time with your loved ones and celebrating different events, I think would be a much better opportunity. Now, I also think that holidays also introduce, that's why one reason with seasonal holidays, it introduces a lot of pressure and stress on people based on expectations presented for that. So, your families are all together for Christmas, you got Thanksgivings, you have all that stuff. I feel like that introduces way more pressure on people. I think that's why we've seen kind of a backlash of people not doing them, or like more friend events, things like that. So I feel like less seasonal holidays are yeah, I think less seasonal holidays are good, is necessary.
All right, less seasonal holidays, the way to go for Germanic Ogre. Earthly, other side of the coin, your turns, second up, your time begins now.
But I think part of the reason that it can be so stressful is because we have so few holidays that, like, when they roll around, when it's like Christmas or Thanksgiving or something, like, you feel like you really have to do some shit. But if we have just like constant holidays throughout the year, just randomly, like, they're not going to be as important. People aren't going to be freaking out about them as much. And on top of that, like, you just, it's a nice boom for the economy. Like, Hallmark gets a big boost. Everybody else gets a big boost because, like, the people who are rich as fucking can do every holiday are still going to do it. But it's going to take more pressure off of people when it's like just Christmas, because it can be more of like a regular thing where it's like, year round. Like, maybe I might get my kid just like a nice pair of shoes and I'll get maybe something cool the next holiday. It's not like you got to throw like half your life savings away for like one holiday because it's like, oh shit, it's Christmas. My kids are going to fucking hate me if I can't do like something great this year. And I think that's where the pressure comes from, is because we assign so much significance to these couple holidays. People are like scrambling left and right. But like, yeah, I think if we just had way more seasonal holidays, it'd give us more excuses to have breaks from like school and work. So that's less stress for people, and less financial pressure because none of them are that big. And so, you might even be able to just get away with skipping a couple holidays, just make like a nice dinner or something. If you're not having to freak out about Christmas or whatever, maybe get rid of like some of that like crazy Black Friday culture where people are like trampling each.
And that is time. Back over to Germanic Ogre. Your response, 1 minute 30 on the clock. Your time begins now.
The hard thing is, like, I'm trying to like debate what. And he made exceptionally great points in his counter argument. And I'm like, I don't know what to say to like debate like any of those. Oh man, less holidays. I mean, here's the hard part about like, I think Earthy made extremely valid points with more spread out means. And I think that's kind of the whole idea. Like, seasonal holidays, I think, are the ones that we have bigger. But if we did have a spread out of more holidays or more events, it would take more pressure off of people to meet the expectation of those big seasonal holidays. So I think that's why in my mind, I'm viewing seasonal holidays as in like the big traditional ones. Whereas, yeah, having less of them would make sense. Having less, so actually, you could make the argument on both sides for less seasonal holidays and more holidays as a period, spreading that load out across the board. So I think I'm thinking less seasonal holidays. Less seasonal holidays would make for less pressure and, using Earthly's points by spreading that load across multiple holidays. Because I'm viewing seasonal holidays in its own category versus like other holidays like Mother's Day, Father's Day, that kind of stuff. I view seasonal as like Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, etc.
All right.
That's kind of where my brain's at.
Well, with that, Earthly, 1 minute 30 back over to you. You have the
swinging.
last word on this one.
All
Your
right,
time
so
begins now.
I'm a little bit confused why exactly Germanic Ogre tried to use my point about how more holidays would create less pressure and apply that to less holidays. That's a little bit confusing because I feel like part of where like the less pressure comes from is you have more opportunities to meet. Say you can't get everybody together for Thanksgiving, but if we have like Thanksgiving 2 in like April or something, then like you can just do Thanksgiving 2. Like you don't have to feel too bad about missing the first Thanksgiving. If we just have like 7 or 8 throughout the year, a couple Christmases wedged here and there, like you can just do it when it works for you, You don't have to make one specific time of year work out no matter what, Sometimes that can be really stressful. Like if something comes up like during December or November, it can feel like the entire year is ruined. Like I've had that happen with like my extended family before where like somebody will like have something happen and they can't make that one specific day and it's like, fuck, everything's ruined. This year sucks. And I think there would be less of that if we just had more opportunities like that without making it this like, maybe giving it more slots, to fit that kind of stuff into. Like would be very great for people's schedules, And yeah, I think that's my time.
All right, so 1 minute back and forth. You can talk freely. No need to wait for one another. Last word. Any last words you want to get in? Your time begins now.
All right, what do you got for me, Germanic? What do you got?
I got nothing. That's the hardest part. Like I got nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like
You lost the debate. Right, that's a little bit rude.
No, that's absolutely fair. I knew the moment I said that, the moment I heard you respond, I was like, I'm fucked. I'm so fucked. I mean, truth be told, we talked about this. The idea in my brain is less seasonal holidays and spread out across more time, which would mean more holidays, period. That's where it's really hard. It's like, what's the definition of a seasonal holiday? I probably should have asked that. Like, what do you define as seasonal holidays? And then spreading that load across.
I think the same thing you do. I think of like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, stuff like that. But I feel like if we just have more of those and more time slots, like, it's less stress altogether.
Yeah.
And that's time. 1 minute is over. Over to our judges. Now we move on to the voting portion. But also, chat, who do you think wins this round? Germanic Ogre or Earthly? The poll is up in chat. Voting matters here. Votes usually come very close, so all of your votes count. Let's go down the line of voting with our judges to see who they think debated better. Beginning right up at the top, Miffed. Who did better?
So I disagree with the premise of his argument, but I feel like he was the only person who fully argued something, so I'm gonna have to vote Earthly.
Perfect. Oh, also, again, send your votes to Gapped in the Zoom chat so we can keep, so we have a good tally at the end. While we go through this, moving forward, Odin, who did it better?
I actually agree with what Mift just said. While I agree with having less holidays, Earthly did actually come up with the valid points and had more to argue. So my point's going to Earthly.
Fantastic. Moving on. Robbie, who did it better?
So I think that Earthly did it better. However, I think there was a problem in the understanding of the holidays. Are we talking specific holidays, Flag Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day? Are we talking President's Day, Labor Day, Memorial Day? What are we talking here? And I think that should have been clarified in the beginning, because that would have made the argument a lot more, substantive either way. That said, I know how this is gonna go for the rest of the votes, so I'm gonna vote for my friend Germanic Ogre. Let's just Germanic Ogre.
And this is why I said to DM your votes beforehand to Gapped.
Was I not supposed to?
No, you're supposed to say it. No, you're supposed to say it, but like,
Say it?
but like,
Oh, DM.
but we
Oh, that's
tally
right.
we
I'm
tally
sorry.
all the votes beforehand so that you don't vote based on how all the votes are going to be going. That is exactly what we were trying to combat here with the anonymous voting.
I'm so
and
bad.
then you explain your vote without that being an influence. But it's okay. This is round one. We're gonna have this happen next time where you're gonna submit it all beforehand and then we talk about it. So that being said, Justice, who did it better?
I have to kind of go with Earthly simply because Germanic Ogre kind of folded. He even said that he lost. Like, if you admit that you lost the debate at that point, can I even argue that he like anything else? No. So, just Earthly.
All right, Aaron, who did it better?
I'm trying to quantify it in a way that like matters, I guess. I voted for Germanic, even though ironically I don't like when people give up. I just felt like with the way I had understood the prompt, I felt like Germanic made sense, and then I felt like Earthly was complimenting Germanic's original point that he was making. But then in retrospect, maybe I just didn't understand either. But I did vote Germanic, so
Okay.
there you go.
All right, Sorellen, who did it better?
I'm afraid I have to run on the consensus here in the sense that I very much philosophically agree with Germanic's point of view. You know, I think everyone here wholeheartedly agrees on a moral level that, you know, the pressure of having to do Thanksgiving and Christmas is terrible, but he didn't quite argue it in a way that I could really get behind to vote for him. I agree with his points, but I think he spent too much time addressing Earthly's points about raising his own points, which is a bit of a faux pas in a round two of a debate, I think.
All right. So with that, I believe Gap, you have all the lists, so it should be looking like Earthly does take more of the votes. With 4 votes, chat also voting for Earthly with 70% of the vote. We'll take the first round of round 1. Congratulations, Earthly. Good job. Claps all around.
For what it's worth,
Fantastic.
I think Germanic did a really good job addressing Earthly's points, though.
So with that, Earthly, as of now, will move on to round 2. However, if you believe that Germanic deserves a second chance, you may bring Germanic back at any point until the end of round 1 with the incentive.